afternoon and welcome to India Today. I'm Anjali Istwal. Let's take a look at the top headlines. Pardon me, we are beginning with a big breaking news right now, which is coming in from Karnataka. And this is, of course, regarding the Chief Minister power tussle that we've been seeing for many days now. It seems DK Shivkumar has now decided to visit Delhi for one day, although he's claiming that this is a private visit. He's coming to attend a wedding. He shall be traveling by an Air India flight and he will be traveling to Delhi. He is claiming that he will be back in Bengaluru for a cabinet meeting that is scheduled. And he's also stating that he has stated that he is his only spokesperson. He is the spokesperson for the party. He cannot speak about anybody else. And there was a breakfast meeting that had happened. But after that, it seems that he is in the mood to meet the High Command. Could this be a way of doing that? So right now, what we hear is that there could be a meeting on the cards if DKS manages to get an appointment with the High Command. Remember, the High Command has been keeping both the leaders at bay. They've been told to resolve this issue amongst themselves, and that is why we saw a series of breakfast meetings. And joining us right now on the phone line is India Today's Sagai Raj. Sagai, do you think this could be an attempt from DK Shivkumar to meet the High Command, although he says it's a private wedding that he is attending?
So as of now, he claims that it's a private wedding. There is a wedding which is there at Lee Meridian Hotel in Delhi this evening, and after that he will be holding a small meeting on a protest at Ramlila Maidan, which is scheduled on 14th of December by AICC. And he has also said that he will talk to all the MLAs to get at least 300 people from their respective constituency to Delhi. However, many also say that he might try to reach out High Command when he is attending the wedding. Probably one or a few of top leaders from Congress might also be part of that particular wedding.
Right, Sagai. This is, if you look at it, this is coming in the midst of the breakfast meetings that we had seen, and both the Chief Minister and Deputy Chief Minister saying that we are united. But we also see sloganeering when KC Venugopal comes in. So it's something else that we see, which is a public front, and something else is happening deep down inside when you look at the depths of this entire tussle.
Anything is possible in politics. You cannot rule out a small meeting, off-record meeting. Everything when it comes to these kind of meeting or these kind of travel includes politics. And definitely there might be some kind of string attached to the meeting that Siddaramaiah had with KC Venugopal as well as DK Shivkumar traveling to Delhi.
Right. So news coming in right now is that DK Shivkumar is traveling to Delhi, but he claims it is a private visit. He is coming here to attend a wedding, but could there be a meeting with the High Command? Possible? Could it be on cards? This is what everyone is asking. So Sagai, do tell us one more thing. As far as Siddaramaiah is concerned, you know, we saw that off-the-cuff remark that he made with one of his aides yesterday, where he said that anything is possible, whatever has to happen, let it happen. He sounded more that he's resigned to whatever it's going to happen. He's ready for it. But DK Shivkumar seems to be working harder at meeting the High Command, but the High Command seems to be keeping this issue on a back burner. Their attitude is clearly questionable.
So if you notice that the High Command has clearly instructed that they will not have any kind of audience if they reach out High Command or visit Delhi. And in fact, KC Venugopal has also asked DK Shivkumar and Siddaramaiah to do a damage control and talk to each other over a cup of coffee and sort out the issue much before High Command can intervene and address the power transition issue in the state of Karnataka. So a damage control exercise has been completed. Now it is up to the High Command how they're going to tackle the issue. So far, they haven't received any phone call. Officially, none of the leaders have confirmed this. But what we also get to learn through our sources is that if at all, if they have to get a call, they have to get a call before 6th or 7th. After 8th, there is assembly session which will begin from Belagavi in Karnataka. And subsequently, the session will also continue at Delhi. So the leaders will be busy in that. So whatever has to happen, it should happen before that, or else you have to wait for the session to get over.
Right. Thank you, Sergey, for all those details. Let's listen to what DK Shivkumar said about his Delhi visit.
Today I am going to Delhi for a private marriage. Number one, on 14th of December, we are arriving at Ramlila Maidan. A very big program has been organized. From Karnataka, from every district, we need at least 300 people to visit that place. So I asked all the district ministers to monitor, all the MLAs to monitor that, take all the party cadres to that vote chori program, and all the block presidents also have to compulsorily visit that program, DCC president. So in order for that organization, I'm just going there. Tomorrow morning, I'm coming back for the cabinet. There's a cabinet meeting. I'm attending the marriage and some 2-3 small meetings, and I've come back. No much political importance to this.
It's now time to go across to Aabha Bakaya of Business Today with all the updates of the markets. Aabha, over to you.
Good afternoon and welcome to Market Closing on our collab show between Business Today and India Today TV. Just after 3, and we're here to get you all the closing action. Let's take a look at what's catching everyone's attention today. Rupee in a free fall crashes more than 40 paise in trade to cross the 90 to $1 level for the first time ever. It's now one of Asia's worst performers, having fallen 5% against the dollar this year. The US tariff standoff and foreign portfolio investor sell-off in the markets play havoc with the currency. Benchmark indices under pressure for the third straight session as investors turn cautious after the plunge in the rupee. More clarity from the central bank is expected only on Friday when RBI announces its interest rate decision. Nifty IT is the only NSE index in the green. PSU banks biggest losers after the government rules out an increase in FDI limits. Retail portion of the Meesho IPO subscribed within an hour as the 5,240 crore issue hit the street this morning. Grey market premium rockets to 45%. The IPO of aerospace component maker Equus is already subscribed nearly 3 times, with a huge demand among retail investors. MCX Silver hits a fresh record high of 1,84,727 rupees per kilo as the rupee weakens sharply and global supply tightens. High demand again brings in grey market premiums. Gold also stayed near record levels on the COMEX, driven by safe haven demand and expectations of Fed rate cuts. India and Russia are set to sign major trade agreements to lower duties and ease non-tariff barriers. A deal is also near certain to allow Indian skilled and semi-skilled workers to Russia, something described by Foreign Office officials as the single most important development in President Putin's visit beginning tomorrow. All right, let's take a look at the markets then this afternoon. And, while it's not really been looking pretty on the index in light of the currency free fall, as well as really expectations on hearing a little bit more from the RBI on Friday, as well as from the Fed, it's still even Steven on the index. But advanced decline ratio has massively skewed towards the declines right now. Let me bring in Shailendra Bhatnagar, who's also joining us as always. Shail, first, let's look at the setup. We're just counting down to close, 20 minutes to go. It's not really looking pretty.
Well, Aabha, I would look at the glass as half full. 25,900 has been tested in early morning, and we are now at 25,987. That's a really, really strong hitchback by the Nifty. against the backdrop of what you mentioned, a record low on the rupee. So 5 consecutive days of record lows on the rupee, I think it should run out of steam, and you should see the reverse move happening on the Nifty, as also aided by the Nifty IT index and to some extent private sector banks like HDFC and ICICI Bank. So I'm imagining that we'll have a close above 26,000, and there you have it on the screen. That's very, very positive for the market. Aabha.
Okay, well, India's Chief Economic Advisor, Mr. Nageshwaran, has said that the government is not alarmed by what's happening on the currency. He says not losing any sleep over it. He's spoken about how the currency has been largely stable over the last 2 years, and saying that the weakness is not yet translated into higher inflation or hurt export competitiveness. So he's not sounding too concerned right now. He does talk about the global backdrop in terms of rising US interest rates, geopolitical strains, tighter financial conditions, saying that it's really against this backdrop that the fall must be seen, and it's been relatively stable against many of the other emerging market currencies over the last 2 to 3 years. Conditions are only set to improve going forward in 2026. The rupee is slipping about 5% this year so far, also today crossing that 90 rupee mark, and that's really what was troubling everyone when we saw the kind of pressure that was building up on the currency this morning. We've got Osho Krishan also joining us, Senior Research Analyst and on technicals and derivatives from Angel One. Osho, good afternoon. Let's get your take on the index. Shell makes a fair point. We have also seen a stronger support coming in at lower levels and looking to end once again perhaps flat on the index.
Very good afternoon, Aabha. Firstly, thank you for inviting me at the show. Well, yes, no doubt, throughout the session, we have seen a very lackluster trading day for Indian equity market. But in last 30 minutes or 15 minutes so, we have seen a very strong resurgence from very strong support of 25,900. So I'm expecting that now the market have seen some kind of a stability around the 21-day exponential moving average. So 25,900 and 25,850 is a very strong support level. So dip should be argued well, and in last 15 minutes we have already seen a very decent recovery from the lows. So I'm expecting now the market can see some kind of further recovery going forward. The outlook remains on the positive front, especially Bank Nifty has seen a major trigger because majority of the private sector banks have started gaining decent traction in the last 1 hour or maybe 2 hours. So from that point of view, I'm expecting that Bank Nifty can see some kind of a strong resurgence from her current levels. 59,500 on the technical levels is the resistance, but once it breaches the zone of 59,500, then from here onwards, Bank Nifty can reach the zone of 60,000 in the coming trading cycle.
Okay, talking about the Bank Nifty and Shell, let's focus on the PSBs for a moment, because some clarification coming in on the expansion of those FDI limits, and the government saying that's really not on the cards with immediate effect at this point of time.
Yes.
That's led to a bit of a drop when it comes to the PSU Bank Index, 3% actually. What are you making of that news and the outlook, in light of that, on some of those key names within that basket that we've been looking at over the past few weeks?
Yeah. Aabha, the interesting development that I wish to point out is that the rise of 400 points on the Bank Nifty is from an intraday low, despite the 3% cut on the PSU banking index, where the government has said that they don't have a move to raise the FDI limit to 49 from 20. So all the more strength. We are just waiting for a particular trigger in the Nifty, say around 2640. If that should happen, then even the Nifty will turn into a buy zone on a intraday basis, and that should sort of keep bulls happy, because you've had a 350 point correction on the Nifty, if not more. I think 450 point correction on the Nifty over the last 3 trading sessions. Now, all heavyweights are in strength. HDFC, ICICI, Axis, Kotak, SBI. And that's pulling the Nifty up, plus the IT stocks. So all's well. Let's see what the close is today.
Okay, but I do want to talk about those public sector names particularly. I think we were tracking SBI, Canara, and I think one more, because they actually saw a run-up on the back of the reform buzz, Shell. So I do want to address that in terms of what changes for them in light of this clarification. I'll come back to you on that in just a moment. We've got some breaking news for you on your screen. There's a change to the government's Sanchar Sathi mandate. pre-installation on mobiles is not mandatory. Sanchar Sathi can be removed at will. The government says that the 1.5 or 1.4 crore users have downloaded the app. 2,000 fraud incidents have been reported per day. That's the latest coming in, that the Sanchar Sathi can and will be removed at will. Some new mandates coming in with regards to pre-installation on mobiles. It's not mandatory anymore. A lot of frauds have been reported and it can be removed at will. About 1.4 crore users have downloaded the app. That's what is the number that we've heard come in from the government. And about 2,000 fraud incidents have been reported per day. Let's go right across to Aishwarya for more on this and what this means. Aishwarya, take us through how significant this program really was and why the government's pulling back. What have been the key issues?
Well, the mandate earlier to pre-install this application, Sanchar Sathi, across made in India and imported smartphones was earlier given by the DOT on the 28th of November, including the likes of, Android devices and Apple, of course. You saw that they didn't want to be on board as far as pre-installation of this application is concerned. What the government right now is saying is that because there's increasing acceptance, remember yesterday there were about 10x or 6 lakh downloads of this application, and you saw a lot of hue and cry, a lot of negative comments coming in with allegations of snooping. Just in one day we saw 6 lakh downloads of this application, and so the government is saying because of this increasing acceptance, they've now not decided to make the pre-installation mandatory for all mobile handsets. So a big update as far as Sanchar Sathi is concerned. The air has been cleared. The whole matter about disabling, uninstalling has been put to rest by Union Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia also yesterday. And of course, they've also thrown some numbers that so far 1.4 crore users have downloaded this app and 2,000 fraud incidents are being reported per day as far as the Sanchar Sathi app is concerned. This is what their initiative was. It has many other languages, and what the government has said that people who are senior citizens, they don't realize how to mitigate all of these frauds, and pre-installation would have helped this even in tier 2 and tier 3 cities. Those who are digitally not so savvy, this application would have helped them. So that's the word coming in from the Ministry of Telecommunications so far.
Aishwarya, thanks for that. Just to recap for our viewers though, Aishwarya, before I let you go, what was the purpose of the Sanchar Sathi app? Because, while SIM binding mandates can help with mass volume fraud, I think there were some technical issues in terms of mule accounts or digital arrests, which, like you just alluded to, sometimes, lead to misrepresentation, and it's tough to kind of find the actual fraud accounts versus those that are just not properly implemented. But what was the purpose? Because this created such a row when it was first introduced.
Right, although you can sort of detect spam numbers and, some of these financial frauds that happen, even digital arrests have been quite... You've seen some examples of this in the past. When you download the Sanchar Sathi app, there are 5 services that they offer to you. You can report the suspected fraud communication instantly. As soon as you get a call, you can report that through the application. If you've lost or your phone has been stolen, that mobile handset, by tracing your IMEI number, will be able to lock it at that instance if you report some sort of lost or stolen handset of yours. So that misuse can be prevented, and you also are able to recognize if this handset that you've bought right now is from a genuine OEM, which is an equipment manufacturer or a handset manufacturer, if this is a original Samsung, Apple or any other handset that you've bought. So these are a few of the things that help you recognize through the Sanchar Sathi app, is what the government has said. We also asked the MOS of telecom yesterday why the need for that application when the website already exists as far as Sanchar Sathi is concerned. And he mentioned that the growing number of financial frauds, especially for those who are not digital savvy, is the reason and the purpose of the Sanchar Sathi app.
Okay, great. Thanks for joining us on that, Aishwarya. I think it gives everyone a really good perspective of really, what's happening with the Sanchar Sathi app and its purpose as well as limitations. But let's go back to the currency and what's happening on the rupee. We've talked about how it's been in free fall as well as the CEA's commentary on the currency. Let me also welcome in we've got a guest joining us on the rupee just to talk us through the outlook as well. And Mr. Mathur, just to get a perspective from you, we've crossed 90, which was anticipated. But how much further do you anticipate we could see pressure building on the currency? And is it likely that perhaps any commentary from the RBI coming in on Friday will help to stem the fall? Or do you see this as being a trend that will accelerate over the next few weeks?
Thank you very much, Aabha. Pleasure joining in. And thank you very much for inviting us to share our views. I won't say it's a free fall, but yes, over the last few months, we did saw rupee depreciating from levels of around 83, 82 a year back to around 88, 87 levels against the US dollar. It got stabilized at around 88, 89 Aabha against the dollar. But over the last 2 days, it has plunged or depreciated against the dollar. So we did saw a plunge of around 1% last week. And we also witnessed an all-time low for the rupee against the dollar today. So rupee did touch briefly around 90.29 against the dollar, currently at around 90.10, 90.11. Now, the fundamental reasons for India are very strong. You have the very good GDP numbers coming in from the last 6 months, the first and the second quarter. I think the pressure is largely with respect to the uncertainty which is still mounting on the tariff with the US, the tariff policy with the US, the strong dollar, and there is a safe haven buying in the dollar too. So people are therefore, the dollar is appreciating. It is around 99.15 where it is stabilizing currently. Fears of the wider trade deficit because of the depreciative rupee against the dollar. So imports would be much more costlier and you don't have too many exports coming in with the global economy still coming out of the tariff shock. So I think all these fundamental factors which are positive for India per se would play in short term, but not on the immediate term because of the pressure which is bound to come with respect to the trade deficit and at the same time the dollar strength. And tariff definitely is one of the concerning issues.
So do we expect the RBI to intervene to support the currency? Mr. Mathur, is that something that the street's watching out for? Because they don't, at least the CEA right now is sounding fairly unperturbed. Will the RBI step in at this point or do you think they'll wait and watch further?
See, the RBI monetary policy is supposed to happen. I mean, the 5th of December would be the outcome coming in from the monetary policy. Although the large probability or the assumption around the markets going in that the RBI would cut rates. Now, I am not sure whether that would happen in this particular policy meeting because if the RBI cut rates, then the rupee might further depreciate against the dollar, which would again be a painstaking job for the RBI to manage. At the same time, I would say that the RBI is getting into kind of what International Monetary Fund has just come out with a kind of a note saying that it is guiding and not guided by or guarding against the rupee against the dollar. So I think the RBI would take a very cautious call because the fundamentals for the country are better. The inflation is very much tucked in. You don't have the GDP questions mounting on. The manufacturing sector, the services sector is doing well, except for the exports, which might be critical going forward with respect to the services sector. So I think it's a very tough call for RBI, but I'm sure 90 is something where RBI would be watching the rupee against the dollar. And I don't think, my personal view is, that the rupee might not depreciate further beyond 91. As we stand today, tomorrow the situation can be a different situation.
All right, so at least some support in sight. Mr. Mathur, we've seen silver and gold also hit those all-time high levels, considering the currencies continuing to weaken and global supplies tightening, high demand, of course, also bringing in grey market premium. So when we're looking at this safe haven demand, expectations of Fed rate cuts, all of this leading to that run-up also in precious metals, do you expect that to continue, given what you just said on how most of these factors will remain aligned over the next few weeks or in the more immediate term?
Thank you very much for this question. Means people are wondering about where the silver and the gold prices are headed. Means nobody thought about that the gold prices would touch 1,25,000. We are standing today with the gold at around 127 per 10 grams, and the silver is quoting at around 1,82,000 on the MCX futures contract for March 10 grams. The spot market is for silver is at around 1,78,000 per kg. So I think the major fundamental reason for silver, and let me correct Aabha one thing here, the gold didn't touch new high today. It is silver which has touched a new high at around $58.90 in COMEX or international markets and in rupee terms. The gold did touch an all-time high in dollar at around 4,381, and that was in October 17th. And Indian markets also did touch a high of around 1,32,900 something on the 20th of October this year. So silver is an all-time high commodity today. The fundamental reason is simple and plain, that the deficit on silver means we have the 5-year long deficit in terms of the production and the consumption balance. So we have a great deficit, which is definitely impacting the silver demand. You have the central banks, you have the ETFs across the globe looking into diversifying their portfolio from dollar, the assets, to assets like gold and silver. So that particular demand is rock solid. And the investor demand in terms of the ETFs is also been catching up in the last 6-7 months. So I would say that the silver, because of the fundamental reasons, would continue to be on the neutral to a bullish trend. But gold means as a safe haven, I would say, would behave within a range. So currently at around 4,206 in dollar. So I would say the gold would be more or less neutral, but silver would be definitely neutral to bullish.
All right, Mr. Mathur, thanks so much for joining us and taking us through a detailed look at both the currency's trajectory as well as what's happening on the precious metals. And we'll continue to track that for you, of course, over the next few days, especially as we keep an eye on the commentary coming in both from the RBI as well as the Fed. We're counting down to close now. We're just 2 minutes to go. So let's also take you through some of the major gainers and losers today, where we're going to end up. Yes, it looks like we're going to end up back at about 26,000 on the index, but let's pull up the gainers and losers. IT, of course, having a field day, given the fact that the rupee is weakening. It's great for IT, it's great for exporters. Hindalco, ICICI Bank, some of the other gainers there today. Let's pull up some more of those for you and also take a look at the advanced decline ratio. TCS up over 1%, HDFC Bank, Axis Bank, so private banks clearly participating. On the downside, let's also take a look at Tata Consumer, Adani, BEL, 2% cuts coming in on some of these names. A lot of profit booking coming in. Shriram Finance, M&M, NTPC, so again 2% cuts across the board here. PSU banks, I want to pull those up for you and take a look at all of them, because on the back of the news, we did see some sharp selling coming in across the board on PSU banks, hitting in fact 3% lower on close on the PSU bank index. We also had a whole host of them. Let's pull up SBI for you, see where it closed today, Bank of Baroda and some of the others as well, just to see how the action was on closing. Canara Bank, for instance, Punjab National Bank, UBI, all of them seeing major cuts in today's trade. Osho, let me get a quick call from you specifically on the PSU banking names. Canara, in fact, closing the day down 4%, and also just in light of the recent run-up that we've seen on some of these names.
Majority of the PSU banks were already in a very strong and still a bull run, but with today's kind of a development, there might be some kind of halt to the momentum and they might see some kind of profit booking because technically the parameters have already been into the overbought terrain. So I expect that in the short term period, there might be some time-wise correction or consolidation that PSU banks can be into. Canara Bank, for instance, is at a very strong support of 20-day exponential moving average around the zone of 145, and a breakdown below 145 can drag the counter towards 138 to 136. And technically, that should be considered healthy because with the kind of vertical rally that we have seen in PSU banks, some kind of profit booking should be expected, and that should be considered healthy from short and even from medium-term perspective. So overall, the technical structure remains robust, and one should look for opportunities on the dips.
All right, so look at opportunities on dips. Shail, coming to you, we've just closed and I think we're at about just a touch under 26,000, 25,985 I think is where we're landing at the Nifty. On the Nifty itself, IT having a field day, Hindalco was back in action, private banks as you mentioned earlier, but clearly the overall sentiment of the market was negative. We're still ending with a sharp skew towards the declines despite the kind of recovery buying we saw in the second half of trade.
I think, Aabha, we've had enough of a weak rupee. You'll see a reversal in the rupee from tomorrow, if not today till 5 p.m. And the Nifty's recovered 88 points from an intraday low of which was 26,000. That's a very, very big plus. This is something that should be looked forward to tomorrow. I hope that the rally will now take root, and tomorrow you'll see a strong close above 26,000, Aabha.
All right, so some amount of support coming in, both on the Nifty and anticipated on the currency. So it's not all bad news. We have time for a couple of queries very quickly. Sumit from Cuttack says, which IT stocks will benefit if the India-US trade deal is signed? You know, Shail, I'm almost scared to ask you this question because we've been waiting on this trade deal signing. I mean, it has to happen at some point, but it's like this thing that is constantly evading us right now. But for Sumit, what would you say? Which IT stocks look the most attractive right now?
Well, Aabha, I think the ITBs make sense because of valuations and not because of the trade deal. I don't think so with the red carpet being laid for President Putin. You'll see the trade deal happening fairly quickly. So keep that aside. But the ITBs that we very often talk about are the way forward if you want to have an exposure to the IT sector, which I think is a very sensible way out. Yet again, please do consider speaking to an independent financial advisor before you step into it. Staggered buying and for a 2-3 year period. Aabha.
All right, Ramesh of Nasik has written in, which export-oriented stocks will benefit most from the rupee fall? Osho, let me bring that to you. Where do you feel there's value to be found on the back of the weakening currency?
See, overall, because of the INR depreciation, I expect that IT counters can see some kind of traction. Some of the pharma names can see some kind of positive traction. Overall, there might be some kind of traction in the short-term perspective, but overall, the market remains robust for majority of the sector. So for sector specific, I am more bullish onto banking and financial for our market, and majority of the banks and financial sectors is looking very positive. So irrespective of having some counters from other sectors which are having some kind of traction in the recent period, I will stay with private sector banks where ICICI, HDFC and Kotak Bank is looking very positive too.
Right, well, the market action clearly shifted towards the private banks today. We also saw some buzz on some stocks like in Apollo Tyres did well, and some of those auto ancillary or tire stocks have actually been buzzing lately. IT, of course, the other major mover, and Hindalco maintaining its sustained buying as well. Thank you, Osho. Thank you, Shail, for joining us. We also are going to be heading in for a quick break, but before we do, here's a look at Tesla's Optimus humanoid robot sprinting across the lab floor, and what Elon Musk says is its strongest performance yet. The video shared by Musk on X showcases major improvements in balance, coordination and gait. Key areas that the company has been fine-tuning with each new iteration.